Welcome to Duber's Place Radio Replay. I'm your host, Bob Parana. For 5 seasons back in the late 80s and early 90s, I had the privilege of doing high school sports for WLMI Radio with the one and only legendary Barry Morgan. Tonight on Radio Replay, we take a look back at the 1993 AML Championship game between the Ridgway Elkers and Smethport Hubbers, played at Dutch Country Stadium in St. Mary's. The game's a thriller, but before we get to the action, sit back, relax, and enjoy the pregame festivities that include interviews from the parking lot and complete recaps of previous AML Championship games.
And back here at Dutch Country Stadium, good evening to you. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Barry Morgan, a snow flurry here at Dutch Country Stadium as we get set for this AML Championship. Hubs and the Elkers coming up.
Oh, just lovely, Bob. I mean, it looks so nice out there to see the snow because I'm a snow freak. And it's just, the field looks good. The kids are pumped up. There's people out warming up and doing some other things. And it's fun to watch because not long away, and boy, they're going to go at it.
And it probably won't be the first time you hear it tonight, but this is what high school football is all about. We take you out now to the parking lot here at Dutch Country Stadium with Joe Disque and Scott McGuire. Gentlemen.
Hey, Bob, I figure you can make comments like that when you're sitting in the breast box and have a heater, but definitely this is what high school football is all about. Snow's falling real steady right now. I guess starting to lay on the field a wee bit. And Scott and I kind of dancing out here in the parking lot trying to keep warm. But I'll tell you what, it is a beautiful night for football, and it should be a real good game. The Smethport Hubbers here to play the Ridgway Elkers tonight at Dutch Country Stadium. And I am a wee bit cold. My mouth's not working like it should, Scott, but it is a beautiful night. Yeah, it is. It's a good night for football, Joe, and it's a rematch of last year's championship game, the Ridgway Elkers and Smethport Hubbers, and standing by here to talk to us is one of the stars of last year's game, and in fact, Mr. Parana informed us a little bit earlier, a fact that I did not know. The person I'm about to talk to, Mr. Mike Coffey, is the all-time AML championship game leader in touchdowns with 5, so something you didn't know either, Mike.
No, I didn't, Scott.
Okay, Mike, you're playing football this year at Waynesburg, a little bit banged up right now, but how's things going for you personally playing football and college ball?
It's a little different than playing high school ball, but right now I've been laid up for about 6 weeks with a shoulder injury, so it's going to be a little tough getting back into shape. I'll probably be back into shape by January or so.
Okay, Mike, we were talking about the championship game of last year, and of course you got a big punt return in that. Have you had a chance to check out this year's version of the Hubs, and if so, what do you think of them?
They're pretty good this year. Carter, he's a real good back. Not as good as me. No, just kidding. He's pretty good back. He's got more yards than I do up to now, and they keep him running and all the good backs in the backfield. They got to have Jeff back because he runs option real well, and they got a couple good blockers up front like Chuck, and they should go pretty far today.
Okay, Mike, thanks for taking some time out, and I know you're pulling for the Hubs tonight.
Yeah, I am, and beat them Elkers.
Okay, Joe, Mike Coffey, we found out there's no conceit in his family because he has every bit of it right there. So, right. Incidentally, if you're on your way to the game and you're not familiar with where the school is, Dutch Country Stadium at the St. Mary's Public School, just off of what they call the $1 Million Highway. So if you get to be passing McDonald's and Pizza Hut and all good things like that, you're on your way. When you come to the first blinker light, turn left. And you'll pull right into the school. Okay, tonight, Joe, we're going to be running down all the previous Allegheny Mountain League Championship games, a recap for you, and we're going to take you back to 1986 and game number 1 right now.
The first ever Allegheny Mountain League Championship game was played on a rainy Saturday night, November 8, 1986. The game was a battle between 2 unbeaten teams, the Eastern champion Port Allegheny Gators and the Western Division champion Johnsonburg Rams. A crowd of over 3,000 packed the Cameron County High School field in Emporium. Kevin Carter's Rams and the high-potent passing attack of quarterback Tim Myers got the Ram fans off and running with an opening period drive capped off by a beautiful 17-yard completion, Myers to Matt Keylofer. The point after was blocked by the Gators. Down 6-zip. Port Allegheny picked up things with their hard, thrashing running game. It accounted for 367 yards. Senior Dick Sherwood led the attack with a 175-yard night. Scott Gearhart scored the first touchdown. He went in from 49 yards out. The extra point, no good. The score tied at 6. Sherwood would then give his team the lead. when he went in the end zone from 27 yards out off tackle. Torrey Daniels' extra point made it 13-6. The Rams came back with the explosive passing game. Again, it was Myers and Keylover hooking up. A big 61-yard completion gave Johnsonburg the ball at the Gator 8. 3 plays later, Myers and Keylover connected again for the touchdown. The Rams went for 2. Freshman Jim Stayer of the Gators picked off the Myers pass, keeping the score 13-12. The Rams, though, took the lead just before the second period ended when they recorded a safety on a muffed punt snap which went over the kicker's head out of the end zone. At the half, Johnsonburg out in front, 14-13. The senior Sherwood ignited Bob Haskins' Gators with the play of the game in the third period. The 1,000-yard-plus runner slashed through the Rams' defense for a 75-yard score, which gave the Gators the lead for good. Daniels would add the extra point to make it 20-14. The senior kicker also added a 27-yard field goal to end the scoring. Interceptions by the Gators kept Johnsonburg from getting back on the board. Stayer came up with another crucial one as the Rams were driving late in the game. In all, Port Allegany intercepted Myers 5 times. The Ram quarterback, though, threw for a 175-yard record, which still stands. Sherwood's 175 yards also remains an Allegheny Mountain League Championship rushing record. The 1986 championship game saw the Port Allegany Gators beat the Johnsonburg Rams 23-14.
Yes, remember that ball game well in the rain down in Emporium, doing the newspaper gig at the time. But here this evening, it is the Ridgway Elkers wearing the home maroon against the visiting jersey-wise Smethport Hubbards. They'll be in the white jerseys. It is the Allegheny Mountain League championship game coming up, and we'll be back with more after this.
Quick Stop Market, AML Championship Game Quick Fact.
The highest scoring game was played in 1987 when Johnsonburg defeated Port Allegany 21-20.
And Bob Parana and Barry Morgan with you back here at Dutch Country Stadium. Barry, well, the Elkers will be in the home maroon, and they were unbeaten at home this year. The Hubs and the away whites, of course, they're unbeaten again. When you think about it, 5 straight unbeaten regular seasons, amazing.
It's just an amazing fact, Bob, and I don't think that'll hit anybody for a while, because most school districts, I mean, if you can get one unbeaten season, that is a super accomplishment, but to know that they've had 5 in a row, it's just phenomenal, and it may never ever happen again anywhere.
That's
you know, it's just, it doesn't happen, and here it is. It's been 5 years, so it does happen at least once, but you know, it's one of them things that as you look back on it, and I'm sure Carl will in a few years, or you know, like someday when he's old and gray, I mean, that's just a phenomenal thing.
Yes, sir.
It's almost virtually impossible.
The beat goes on for the Smethport Hubbards, their 5th appearance in this ball game, 3rd for the Ridgway Elkers. Let's take you now back out to the parking lot with Joe Disque and Scott McGuire. Gentlemen.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to back up a wee bit so we don't get that feedback.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Okay.
Scott, you're a popular
Yeah,
guy.
everybody's saying hello to me. I've seen a lot of people so far starting to file in, and I've known most of them out here, Joe, so I don't know whether that means that they're all my friends or whether they just recognize the face. I'm not sure yet here. So
Actually, you know, the parking lot is starting to fill up. The lower level, I believe, just about full here. The second level starting to fill up. But snow letting up just a little bit. But, hey, we Pennsylvanians, we football fans, we're used to weather like this.
yeah, this is great football weather for a fan here in Pennsylvania. We were talking, Joe, actually the fact that it's snowing, it wasn't snowing here probably colder last year. We did the pregame show in the parking lot out here last year, and it was actually quite a bit colder. Barry was talking about it earlier. So, yeah, bundle up. Great night for football. Should be a great football game, and 2 very competitive, very closely competitive teams, and the hitting's going to be hard. Should be a great game.
I believe that. You know, last year we were standing in just about this same spot, and this was ice right here. I remember sliding down towards the wall there. It definitely was probably a bit colder, but not as much snow as we're seeing here tonight, but not too bad. Just what I would kind of term a little bit of a flurry. Bring a blanket or a towel or something to sit on, if you don't want to get the bottom side real cold. But definitely a nice night. The field looks in real good shape despite the fact that they played a game here last night.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad at all. And, Joe, we're talking about the weather. It's one of those nights where when you're playing, it's a little bit cold when you first come out. But once you get into the game, a competitive game like this, the elements really aren't going to bother either team. It should be a great game, and I don't think the elements are going to be that big a factor.
All right, let's check things out here.
We're going to head back now to Allegheny Mountain League recap of game number 2 in 1987.
The 1987 Allegheny Mountain League Championship game was a rematch between Johnsonburg and Port Allegheny. The contest was played on a blustery, cloudy day at Bradford Parkway Field November 14th. The game would prove to be the highest scoring and closest AML championship. Over 2,400 fans were on hand. Kevin Carter's Rams got on the board first after a scoreless opening period. Senior quarterback Tim Myers went in from 4 yards out, capping off a nice drive with 11:27 remaining in the half. Kurt Lobaugh added the extra point to make it 7-zip. Port Allegheny came back to tie the game less than 2 minutes later. A George Washington kickoff return set up the Gators deep in Rams territory. Scott Gearhart would hit pay dirt from 3 yards out with 9:33 remaining in the half. Quarterback Jim Stayer added the PAT to tie it at 7. The Rams took the lead with just 50 seconds to go in the half when Myers again capped off a drive with a 3-yard touchdown. The extra point no good. At the half, Johnsonburg 13-7 over the Gators. Port Allegheny came back to take the lead in period number 3 with the help of Stayer's arm. The sophomore quarterback showed much poise and hit Raymond Roberts with a 29-yard scoring strike. Stayer then added the extra point to give the Gators a 14-13 lead. Into the fourth quarter, the contest went. The Rams sustained another nice drive. Then Matt Keelover went in from 3 yards out to make it 19-14. The Rams went for 2, and Myers hit Lobaugh on the game's big play to make it 21-14. But Port Allegheny came roaring back, looking for their second straight AML championship. With just 36 seconds to go in the ballgame, Stayer hit Roberts for a 6-yard score to pull the Gators within 1. Port Allegheny coach Bob Haskin had his troops go for 2. The Rams defense then came up with the play of the game. Led by David Sawlock and Butch Barber, the defense sacked Stayer, but the Gators would get another chance. A hustling Gator recovered the ensuing onside kickoff at the Johnsonburg 40. Port was able to complete a pass, but they were unable to get things going after that as they ran out of time with no timeouts left. And Kevin Carter's Rams had earned the AML championship. Myers and Stayer were the offensive stars. Myers threw for 167 yards, Stayer for 151. Neither was intercepted. The 1987 Allegheny Mountain League Championship game saw the Johnsonburg Rams defeat the Port Allegheny Gators 21-20.
And that, of course, the only day game, the only time an AML championship game played during the daylight hours. That up in Bradford, the AML number 2 championship in 1987. We're going to quickly take you right into the third AML championship game. That game, of course, a lot of folks, Smethport remember, perhaps a sign of things to come. They played that game on the new Smethport field. And let's take you now back to Studio B. We'll let Mike engineer you the AML third championship.
It was standing room only at Smethport Stadium on a balmy, breezy Friday night, November 4th, 1988. It was the third straight year Port Allegheny appeared in the Allegheny Mountain League Championship game. Bob Haskin's foe this time would be Ron Stena and the Ridgway Elkers. The Gators again entered the game unbeaten and would use 3 first-half interceptions to keep the Elkers at bay, and it would lead to 19 first-half points. Ridgway got on the board first when John Piakowitz went into the end zone from 34 yards out with 8:34 to go in the first period. Gary Weber added the extra point, and on the muddy Smethport field, the Elkers had a 7-0 lead. Jimmy Stayer, appearing in his third straight AML game, brought his team back. With 4:58 remaining in the period, he had Brian Fryer with a 22-yard scoring pass. The Elkers hung on to the lead by blocking the extra point. A Stayer interception of a Todd Stena pass gave the Gators the ball back at the Ridgway 9. Todd McCanowitz gave the Gators the lead for good with a 1-yard plunge. Again, the extra point no good. Another interception gave the Gators the ball back. The momentum definitely shifted with a little over 8 minutes to go in the half. Stayer came on to attempt a field goal. The kick went wide, but Stayer was rough, giving his team the ball a first down at the Ridgway 14. McCanowitz hit the end zone from 3 yards out. Stayer's kick gave the Gators a 19-7 lead with 6:07 remaining in the half. There was no scoring in the third period. The slick field seemed to give both teams trouble. The Elkers, though, pulled within 5 when Stena engineered a beautiful 91-yard, 12-play drive. Stena hit Scott Riley from 13 yards out for the score with 11:55 remaining in the contest. Weber added the extra point to make it 19-14. The Elkers' Darren Barnett kept Ridgway ignited when he recovered a Gator fumble at the Port 30. The Elkers couldn't get to 6, but tried to narrow the gap to 2 with a 30-yard Weber field goal. It went short. The Gators were able to hold on to the ball and hang on for the 19-14 win.
And back here at Dutch Country Stadium, getting set for the AML Championship this evening. Still some snow swirling around, the flag swirling each and every direction. Ought to be a dandy. It's a rematch of the 92 affair, which saw the Hubbards defeat Ridgway by a score of 22-0. We're going to be taking you back through all the AML championships to date. Also, we'll be checking in back with Joe and Scott out in the parking facility in a bit. You'll also hear from the head coach of the Ridgway Elkers, Benny Benasuti, and the head coach of the Smethport Hubbards, Carl DeFilippi. It is, the showdown about now 49 minutes away, the pregame to the AML show. The kickoff coming up, as we said, at 7 o'clock. We'll be back with more.
Quick Stop Market, AML Championship Game Quick Fact.
Elk County's Joe Schlimm is the only championship game coach that has not lost a title contest.
The fourth Allegheny Mountain League Championship game was played on a snow-covered Parkway field in Bradford Friday, November 3rd, 1989. Carl DeFilippi's unbeaten Smethport Hubbards were making their first appearance in the championship game. The Johnsonburg Rams of Kevin Carter, their third. The game was a rematch of an earlier regular season game which saw the Hubbards nip the Rams in Johnsonburg. The Rams had trouble getting on track on the slippery field. The hard-pounding Hubbards using a control offense, they were able, though, to muster a 9-0 halftime lead. Chad Kleisis scored the touchdown from 6 yards out with 57 seconds remaining in the first period. The point after, no good. The Hubbards would add to the lead when they took over after a partially blocked punt was returned to the Johnsonburg 20-yard line. The Rams' defense toughened up and held for 3 downs. DeFilippi then brought in his field goal unit. With 5:01 remaining in the half, Lenny Hungyville made it 9-zip with a 33-yard field goal, which split the upright. Down 9-zip, the Rams came to life in the third period. A Mike Biondi fumble recovery set Johnsonburg up at the Hubbard 20-yard line. Quarterback Don Fitch capped things off with a 4-yard scoring strike to Eric Polinsky. Fitch's extra point brought the Rams within 2 with 2:56 remaining in the third period. Into the fourth period, the teams went. Smethport controlled the ball and the clock through the steady running of Kleisis, Vic Mahaney, and quarterback Ed Maynard. After running up the middle, DeFilippi called the play of the game, an end run for his quarterback, who on third down went untouched into the end zone from 15 yards out. The extra point was good, and with 8:11 remaining in the game, the Hubs led 16-7. There would be no more scoring, and Smethport had earned its first AML title. Kleisis led the Hubbards with a hard-earned 77 yards on the ground. Fitch led the Rams' offense with 120 yards passing. Again, the final score in the 1989 Allegheny Mountain League Championship game, the Smethport Hubbards 16, Johnsonburg 7.
Yes, the game Barry Morgan remembers very well, freezing up in Bradford where he had to stand by pretty much all the day. That was quite an interesting day indeed, Mr. Morgan, but finally we got on the air, able to do that first AML win. Of course, the Hubs winners over the Rams.
Well, that was one game that was supposed to be on the air because Joe Disque even spent the better part of the afternoon. He ended up crying over the phone to this woman and saying, please, you got to help us get a line. They sent like a serviceman over after 4 o'clock, and the poor guy had to go across a creek, through the snow, up a pole, And it worked out. And then the Zircon was busted. I had to keep my finger on that the whole game to make it work, but it was supposed to be, and that was a big game. And that was the game, remember, somebody in the crowd fell and got hurt?
Yeah.
That was Mike Hinman, the guy that's back in the studio.
The trivia overwhelms us here as we get set for this AML championship game. Hubbard's and the Elkers. We're going to go just a little bit off the sheet, Mike. We're going to take you out to the parking lot, let Joe and Scott eventually lead us into the Benning interview. But, boys, how's it going out there?
Well, it's not getting any warmer, Bob, but I'll tell you, the crowd really starting to pour in right now. You know something, Scott? Two teams here tonight. The season's going to end for one of them. For the other, the season's actually just beginning, at least the postseason. What's the feel in that locker room right now?
Actually, right now, it's more excitement than anything, Joe. I think the nerves actually happened the night before and leading up to the game more than anything. Right now, there is some nervousness, obviously, but it's more like a nervous energy. Basically, it's excitement. I mean, when it gets to be half hour before game time, right around there, you just want to get out there. That's what you want to do. Get out there and hit somebody and get things going. There's the cold weather.
Well, Benny, we take a look at the Elkers, just 3 starters back from last year's championship game. Last week on the program, you had said this year's team had somewhat exceeded expectations. You look at that, and what really has been the key? What has made these guys tick to get them back in that championship game?
Well, I think one of the big things is the people that we have starting. They're great leaders as far as good examples on the field. If one of the younger kids makes a mistake during a game or during practice, they're there to help them out, try to explain to them what's the problem. I think the sophomores that we have starting for us this year have come around. We were hoping that they could get through the first 2 or 3 ball games, then come on as the year went along, and they've done just that. So the help of the younger kids is coming through. Even the seniors that we have that are coming out for the first time have just done a terrific job for us.
One thing that I see in common in all your ball games, consistent play, with maybe the exception of the St. Mary's game, the first half of the Youngsville game. Even in the loss to Eisenhower, you guys were pretty consistent moving the ball. Again, is that leadership that's making that tick out there?
Well, we've been very fortunate this year. Our ground game has really been working for us, and we have the individual in Shane Williamson right now who's making our offense click. He's probably one of the best running backs in the area, and again, he has the ability to pick his holes and follow his blocking.
I think another amazing statistically defensively is the fact you guys have yet to give up a point in the third period. How much of a factor has that been?
I really didn't know that until last night. One of the guys that does our stats told us that we haven't given a point in the third quarter. Fortunately for us, most of the ball games we've been receiving the ball in the third quarter.
Uh-huh.
And as we stated before, our ball control has been excellent so far this year. So, we start the game or the third quarter off with the football. We're chewing up a lot of the clock. So, I think that has a great deal to do with it.
Uh-huh. And a head coach really needs the assistants to be successful. How about your assistants?
They've done just an outstanding job again this year. They've really worked hard. They put in a lot of hours with the kids. A lot of film looking after practice, and they've done just a terrific job.
You look at leaders, and Charlie Waldo, certainly one of those. Also, Jesse Porter up front on your front line. Those guys did an excellent job against Johnsonburg and throughout the year. How about your offensive line?
The offensive line has been steadily improving each week. We had, just 2 starters back on the offensive line, that's being Charlie and Jesse. Everyone else, including the ends, are all new people, and each game they've been getting better and better. And last week against Johnsonburg, partway through the game there, Johnsonburg was sending 10 men up on the line, and we were still able to move them back 3 or 4 yards before they were touching one of our running backs. So they've come a long way, and they've really done a job for us. And we talk about your quarterback, Jason Plaster, who's done a consistent job for you. Yeah, everything seemed to turn around for Jason after the Elk County Christian game. We had a couple plays that broke down, and he scrambled and got a lot of yardage for us, and he started to get a little bit more confidence in himself, so we've been able to use him a lot more in the option and in the other parts of our offense. Mm-hmm. And Jamie Coba, I think, kind of an unsung hero for you. Yeah, Jamie is a very quiet kid, but when he gets on a football field, he is very intense. Right now, he's leading the team. I think he has 95 or 100 tackles so far, which is, very active for him. And offensively, he knows he has to do a lot of blocking for Shane. But when his time comes and they're keying on Shane, he knows he's going to get the ball, and he does just a fantastic job for us.
And I think it also one of the best sophomores I've seen this season is Dustin Marshall.
Dustin really came into his own, I would say, probably after the 4th or 5th ball game. And right now he's playing good, solid football. To look at him, you wouldn't think that he's playing at the level that he is a sophomore.
Now, you take a look at the Smethport Hubbers, your opponent, and the Hubs have given up just 21 points on the season. Probably going to take a couple scores to beat them, unless, of course, you could throw the shutout at them. But what are you going to have to do to penetrate that Smethport defense?
Well, we feel that, we're not going to change anything. We've been successful with what we're doing. It's going to come down to the point now that just who the better players are. We're not going to out-coach each other, I don't think. And our kids know what they have to do to win the ball game, and I'm sure that Carlos, has his kids well prepared also. But we feel we're going to have to move the football. They've had a very good defense the last 4 or 5 years, and we know what we have to do. If they shut one area of our offense off, we're going to have to try to tackle from a different area.
Okay, uncertainty at quarterback for the Hubbers, is that a concern for you, not knowing who maybe will be the starter Saturday night?
No, that's not a concern because, the caliber of the game, if it's at all possible, I'm sure the McGuire boy will play. I've seen him play this year. He's an excellent quarterback. He runs the option, very, very well. And I hate to see him, miss a game like this because he's a good athlete.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of strange, too, the fact that I think just 3 starters back for you. The Hubs just 2 starters back from last year's game. Last year's game have any bit of a factor on this year's game going into it?
Well, our kids, they remember last year, and they remember that at halftime, I believe, Smethport only had maybe 10 or 12 total yards offense. And we went into halftime, we were losing 7-0 because they ran a punt back. Mm-hmm. We moved the ball on them last year. We'd get down inside the 15 or 20 and we'd make a mistake. And Smethport doesn't make mistakes. They're a very fundamentally sound team, and they don't make too many mistakes. So, I think it's basically going to come down to the team that makes the least amount of mistakes.
Mm-hmm. It must be great, too, being involved in a championship game. I think the AML championship game certainly has come in as one of the premier games in the area. What's it like being involved with that?
Oh, it's great. It's great for our football in the area up here. It gives the kids in the area something to play for, and you'd be surprised. A lot of college coaches that are interested in a kid will come to the game and watch it and see how they perform against another team that has good quality players.
Mm-hmm. And as always, Benny, a pleasure talking with you. We appreciate you taking out the time, and we're looking forward to the ball game Saturday night.
Okay, thank you very much.
Head coach Benny Benasuti of the Ridgway Elkers. Looks like a Three Stooges episode up here in the booth. Cord strung every which way. We're going to get Paul Costa the goal on that last pull out of the monitor, trying to get around things here. But, a festive atmosphere indeed here in St. Mary's. Still some snow, almost like rain now, and both teams getting their final whatever in the locker rooms, pep talks, what have you. But it is the countdown to the AML Championship as we are about 36 minutes away from the opening kickoff set for 7 o'clock. Well, we have more to come. We're going to take you back through the other AML Championship games. We still will hear from the head coach of the Hubs, Carl DeFilippi. We'll be checking in with Joe and Scott out in the parking lot as well. It is the countdown to the AML Championship, and we'll be back with more after this.
Quick Stop Market, AML Championship Game Quick Fact.
Johnsonburg's Matt Kielofer was the first player to score a championship game touchdown. The 1990 AML title game was played on a beautiful Saturday night in Ridgway. The November 3rd contest pitted the unbeaten Smethport Hubbers against the Eisenhower Knights. Carl DeFilippi's Hubbers would hold the explosive Ike offense to just 129 yards. In the first half, Smethport was able to move the ball, but could not get on the board. 2 Jason Cartez field goal attempts were no good. At the half, there was no score. Smethport would break the scoreless tie when sophomore Mike Coffey scored from 11 yards out to cap a 6-play, 40-yard third-quarter drive. The Cartez extra point put the Hubs up 7-zip. An Adam Jack interception led to another Smethport score in the fourth quarter. The Hubs this time consumed the clock while running 15 plays to go 80 yards for the TD. Vic Mahaney had the honors from 1 yard out. The Knights held on the conversion attempt. Conrad Danielson's Knights did get on the board with 1:36 remaining in the contest. Quarterback Rob Cafaro hit Big Bob Mandeville with a 54-yard scoring strike. The point after was no good. The Hubs pounced on the onside kick attempt. The Knights did get the ball back before time ran down, but there would be no miracle, and Smethport earned its second straight AML championship with a 13-6 win. The Hubbers picked up 243 yards on the ground and 22 through the air. Chad Kleiseth ran off for 116 yards. McShaney for 78. Again, the final in the 5th AML championship, Smethport 13, Eisenhower 6.
And back here at Dutch Country Stadium, the Elkers out on the field doing some calisthenics, if you will. Here comes the Hubbers soberly walking down the sidelines. They'll be in the away whites. These teams have met 5 previous times in AML play. Of course, last year's championship game won by the Hubs 22-0. In 91, Smethport a winner 27-21. In 1990, it was Smethport over Ridgway 37-6. In 1987, the two teams battled to a 0-0 tie, and in 1986, it was Ridgway over Smethport by a score of 22-8. We take you back now out to the parking lot, and we'll ask Scott McGuire. Scott, did you ever have the opportunity to go up against the Elkers?
Did you ever have the opportunity to go against the Elkers? I want to know.
No, I never did. Never had a chance to play the Ridgway Elkers myself.
Always a good football team. Let's say so myself.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Joe, we were listening to a lot of those names. Chad Kleiseth, and we heard about Jim Stair a little bit earlier. Of course, Kielhofer, Tim Myers. You know, when the AML first started, a lot of people thought, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. And boy, the AML championship game and the AML league in general has just blossomed into some big-time football in this area. And the AML game every year has been well-attended, always big crowds, regardless of the night. You know, not a real nice weather night for a lot of people, but you're seeing a huge crowd starting to file in here. And the AML is really taking great strides, getting bigger and better every year.
I tend to be kind of a wimp because of the cold weather, but actually it's not that bad of a night. Simply just dress warm, you know, make sure you got a hat. It's snowing, there's no rain. And bring a blanket to sit on, you know, to keep the old bottom side, because the bleachers are getting snow-covered here as we talk. But actually, you couldn't ask for a better night. No, you really couldn't. It really is a good football night. I mean, anybody who's a true football fan, one of those ones from the old days, the old purist or fundamentalist, whatever, they love it. I mean, this is good football weather, high school football weather, professional, doesn't matter. If you're a football fan, this is the type of night that you really dream about, Joe. It is great football weather. And something we were talking about just before we went on the air was, it's not just Elker fans, not just Hubber fans, but actually fans from all over the AML are attending here tonight. It's kind of like the Super Bowl of high school football.
Certainly is, especially for this area. And, you know, talking about the weather again real quick, Joe, everybody when they were young always went out and played football in the snow. I mean, so everybody always says, the adverse weather conditions may affect the players. Heck, these kids have been doing it since they've been 4 or 5 years old out there in the snow, so it's not going to bother them.
Well, actually, you know, you start the season, it's a bit warm, you know. Some of those early September games, it's actually hot out there on the field. But this is what it concludes. If you remember last year, I believe it was the state championship game that actually got snowed out and delayed a week, wasn't it, because of the big storm?
The first time around, they were supposed to play the state championship game, had that big snowstorm in December, and we ended up having to play it the week afterwards. And but what the heck, great football weather, it really is. A little bit chilly, bundle up, come out here, have a good time. We're at Dutch Country Stadium in St. Mary's.
Wear warm shoes.
Yeah, we're warm everything, actually. And I'll tell you what, Joe, of course, we've been recapping some of the Allegheny Mountain League championship games, and we're going to head back now. I believe we got a recap of Game 6 all ready to roll for you.
On a balmy November 1st, Friday night in Emporium, the unbeaten Smethport Hubbers met the once-beaten Elk County Christian Crusaders for the 1991 AML Championship. The contest was a rematch of an early season affair which saw Smethport prevail 24-16. Fumbles hurt the Hubbers in the first half. The first miscue halted a nifty drive, and the second led to the game's first score.
And on third down, the Philippi roll it to his left. Now he'll make the pitch to Coffey, fumble! And Maloney has the football. Maloney may go in. It is a touchdown. 23 yards. The Elk County Christian Crusaders are on the board.
Joel Singer added the two-point conversion, and the Crusaders led 8-0 with 1:12 remaining in the first quarter. The Hubs caught a break when Woody Maynard pounced on a muffed punt. However, the defending AML champs could not capitalize, and the half ended with Elk holding on to an 8-0 lead. A defensive stand inspired the Crusaders' offense in the second half. After forcing a punt, Elk County drove 68 yards on 9 plays to take a 14-0 lead. Terry Maloney's 5 yards out. The try for 2 was no good, but Christian had a 2-score lead with 4:22 left in the third period. The Crusader defense continued to frustrate the Hubs, who would not get on the board until under 90 seconds to play. Mike Coffey scored from a yard out. Elk County recovered the onside kick, and quarterback Steve Feldbauer ran the clock out. Maloney played an incredible game. He made several big defensive plays and rushed for 91 yards. A happy Joe Schlimm and the Crusaders were AML champs 14-6 over Smethport.
Yeah, I'm very happy, man, Bob. You know, and I was confident. I thought, coming in tonight, we had a pretty good football team. And I thought that, if things went our way a little bit, that we could pull one off tonight. Smethport has a really nice club, nice team, and we knew we'd have to play well in order to come out on top tonight.
Yes, indeed, and he certainly did sound confident, did Joe Schlimm. I remember interviewing him prior to that game. Barry, that was a game that Elk County really could do no wrong that night. Things worked for him.
And a lot of weird plays in that game, too, like that ball that bounced off Costa's back, and somebody caught it and took it in for a touchdown.
Got down to the one, then Coffey scored.
There was some real weird plays in that game, and that definitely showed that Elk County was for real. And I think, too, it may have served as a wake-up call for the Hubs, because they certainly regrouped well after that game and just tore them up after that.
They won the District 9 championship over CL, then they beat Iroquois, and then, of course, they beat somebody from down Salzburg, and then they played that really gutsy second half against Rochester. Well, we talked with the head coach of the Smethport Hubbers during our Football Focus show Thursday night. Let's roll that interview. Is the head coach of the Smethport Hubbers now joining us as we are about 25 minutes away from kickoff. But let's let you hear now from the head coach of the Hubbers, Mr. Carl DeFilippi.
All right, Carl, we take a look at the game for you guys, your 5th AML championship championship contest. A little bit about this team. This really might be a little unexpected for these guys to be here as well. How about your 1993 squad?
Well, I think you called it earlier in the program. We had one starter back on offense and 1.5 starters back on defense, and we weren't picked to win the East, let alone go this far. And rattle off another undefeated season and only give up 3 scores all year is beyond my imagination how they did it. But I think it's a lot of pride and self-confidence and discipline on their part.
Mm-hmm. You got to be proud of the fact that these kids were just able to step in and fill the void left by those that graduated. How about your leadership out on the field there, Carl?
Well, obviously, Chuck Bunning's a big-time player for us, and he leads by example, and Jason Herzog, one of our captains, and Jeff McGowan's probably our inspirational leader. So those 3, and Mike Cooper's been a pretty solid for us at linebacker.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, you mentioned McGowan. What would his status be for Saturday night?
No, he's not. We might have him for punting, I think, but outside of that, we got real good news, and he's not as bad as at first thought, but he's not near 100% yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we take a look at the defense. Now, you guys gave up just 21 points on the season. How would you sum up your defensive play?
Pretty good. I just think they played solid team defense all year, and we were fairly strong against the run, and people tried to exploit our pass defense, but, when the kids had to come up with some big plays, big sacks, and he saw a couple of games with Joey Orlandi, made some big interceptions for us. So we always seemed to be in the right spot at the right time when we had to be.
Mm-hmm. And you take a look at the opponents, your opponents, you just give up 3 touchdowns on the year. That's certainly amazing. In the meantime, your offense scores 230 points. And it was a matter, really, of kind of spreading the wealth a little bit. Jason Carter, 72 points. Robbie Kosterper, 44. Jason Herzog, Andy Rifle, Tony Tanner, McGowan. You guys spread the wealth out pretty well offensively.
Yeah, we don't try to feature any one back. Of course, Carter's our big gun, but, when people key, we try to do some other things, and there was some good balance there, and the kids got to share the load a little bit, and that's good.
Mm-hmm. You take a look now at Ridgway, and, of course, when you look at the Elkers, you got to look at some of the big people up front you'll have to move, and Waldo and Porter, and you also have to gear a little bit towards Shane Williamson, who just is a premier back here in the area, does a super job. Berg just had trouble hanging on to him. Have you given the kids any tips or what have you? How do you bring the kid down?
You have to tackle him, and who knows how to do that. He gave us fits last year. Waldo and Williamson are like men playing with boys, really, and they use their strength quite well, but Williamson's not fast. He's shifty, but he's awfully strong, and he just runs through tackles, and that's just his athletic ability and everything else that goes with it. So he's going to be a tough athlete to stop.
Mm-hmm. I take a look, too, at the turnovers, and my unofficial count here has you guys taken the ball away 19 times, giving it up just 8 times. It's a nice factor to be in. You've only, I think, thrown 1 interception on the year, and you've picked off 9 and picked up 10 fumbles. That's just one thing about you guys. You always seem your kids are in the right spot at the right time, Carl.
Well, we kind of work on that, and we work on team discipline and not freelancing, because when you do that, you're letting 10 other guys down, and any little thing can really mess up a defensive football team. But we wouldn't be 9-0. That's one of the reasons we're 9-0. We have a plus 10 or 12 or 11 turnover ratio. Only 1 interception and probably 5 or 6 touchdown passes. We didn't throw for a lot of yards, but when we did, we were effective.
Mm-hmm. You know, people in the media usually have nothing to do, so they try to compare teams. And this team, a lot maybe like because of the comparison, the team that in 1991 that played Elk County, that team had 11 new starters in the lineup. This one, could you compare those teams a little bit?
I don't think so. I don't think we have near the overall team speed and athleticism, this year that we did with that team. Those kids were young, but they were comers. We've got a lot of seniors here, first-year starters playing this year, and let's face it, with Woodruff, we're not going to have the option game that we've had in the past with McGuire. And the last 2 years, we played Ridgway. They couldn't stop Jeff. Philippi, either year he rushed for over 100 yards both games and had some big touchdowns. So that's one facet maybe they're not going to have to worry about quite as much this game.
Mm-hmm. I got to ask you, too, how about Mother Nature kind of threw us a curve with the snow? Was it tough practicing this week?
It's been tough practicing, and it looks like the field's going to maybe be a mess because St. Mary's looks like a great site, but they've got a game tomorrow night on there, and it's 100% chance of rain, so it might just be a muck bath, and I hope it isn't for both teams, but it looks like it might end up being that way.
Mm-hmm. You guys making your 5th straight appearance in the AML game. It's starting to become the Smethport against whomever. What's the feeling over there this week? Business as usual again for the Hubs?
I think so. The kids are focused. It took us 3 long years to get there, and we were just delighted the first year. And to do this 5 times in a row says an awful lot about the kids and the program and the coaching staff and the whole school.
Mm-hmm. I feel almost like I repeat myself year after year, but we let Benny talk a little bit about his assistants. You too blessed with some fine ones over there.
Oh yeah, Ward and Denny. Since '81 we've been together, and Jim McGuire and Rick Woodring as junior high coaches, and Marty Tobias has been with us the last 4 years. So, and everybody's on staff here except for Jim McGuire. So we've been blessed with continuity and some great coaching.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you can't really compare it to last year's game as well, as Benny said, I would imagine.
No, and to be perfectly honest, I think Benny would tell you, I don't think the talent level, and that's not put down on either team, is as high, with the athletes for either squad this year. I just don't think the speed and the overall ability level is quite that high, but the intensity and the will to win is certainly going to be just the same for both teams.
Mm-hmm. What are you going to tell the kids before they take the field there Saturday night?
Don't play your hearts out. Might be your last one. Winner stays home, and have a great time and enjoy it. It's a game, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun, and give it their all. That's all you can ask them.
All right. Well, Carl, we appreciate you joining us this evening here on the program. We're looking forward to the ball game on Saturday night, and as always, a pleasure.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
All right. Carl DeFilippi, the head coach of the Smethport
Hubbers. Let's take you out one last time to Joe and Scott out in the parking lot. I know we saw Mr. Ridgway, Robbie out there with him, also a couple ex-Hubs. Let's go out there now.
Okay, thank you very much. We are down here in the parking lot, Bob, and with me now, Robbie Robinson. Robbie's looked at the Ridgway Elkers for 7 straight years. He hasn't missed a football game, not to mention that he is also the stadium announcer down at Elker Stadium. And Robbie, who you root for tonight?
Well, Ridgway, don't get me wrong, I'm not putting Smethport down. They're a good football team and the best team's going to win. Like I told you here last year in the same parking lot, the team that makes the least mistakes is going to win this football game.
That's right. Now, what's some of the strong points of the Elkers?
Number 19, number 1, Shane Williamson, Charlie Waddle, number 74. I would say the whole defensive line. It's tough. You know, if you're gonna run through Ridgway, I think you got to run around him. You're not going to get up through the middle. You got Dave Corey in there. You got Charlie Waldo, Jesse Porter. You got a strong defensive line.
Let's talk 1 minute here about an Elker fan that went 21 straight years and never missed a football game. Tell us about that.
That'd been my father. Yeah, he bless his soul. He was there right on the sidelines every game. His derby, and a lot of kids in Ridgway got to know him, and they knew him as Big Rob.
All right, Rob, you're going to be in the press box here tonight as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to do the spotting for the PA system here tonight for the Ridgway side, and then there's a guy from Smethport that's going to do their side.
I just have to tell you, last time you and I talked on the radio, it was 93 degrees. We were down at Ridgway Carnival.
Yeah, I'll see you there again this year, I hope. And for the Smethport fans, good luck. Ridgway fans, good luck. And whoever wins, let's go on and win the district and go on and win the state.
All right, Robbie Robinson, thank you very much, Rob. Always a pleasure. Scott, is this about wrapping things up for us?
Yeah, that'll just about do it. Just want to say I had a chance to talk to Scott Schalander and John Burkhardt, two of the players on last year's state runner-up team. It was good to see them. They were standing by here talking to us about some things. It was good to see them back around the area, too, for this big game. And, of course, it is a rematch of last year's game, Joe. The Smethport Hubbers and Ridgway Elkers. We're going to have a recap now of last year's game. Going to wrap it up in the parking lot. Bob and Barry.
The 1992 AML Championship was played on a frosty November 7th, Saturday night, at Dutch Country Stadium in St. Mary's. The game pitted Carl DeFilippi's unbeaten Smethport Hubbers against Benny Benasuti's once-beaten Ridgway Elkers. The contest was a defensive struggle in the first half. Throughout the season, Smethport's Mike Coffey found ways to open a game up. The championship game was no exception.
We've yet to see Coffey handle one of the punts. The Hubbard stacking up on that line to snap, and he gets off the kick, and it is going to be Coffey who fields it at his own 42, looking for some running room. Coffey now cuts it in. He's across midfield, 42. He's going to go all the way. 58 yards, touchdown, Hawk.
Jeff DeFilippi's point after made it 7-0. The Elker offense began to roll late in the first half. Shane Williamson led the attack down to the Hubbers' 20-yard line. The drive was stymied when DeFilippi recovered a fumble. A Ridgway interception gave the Elkers the ball, but they were unable to take advantage, and the half ended with Smethport out in front, 7-zip. Smethport flexed its muscles with an impressive 12-play, 68-yard drive to open the second half. Coffey scored his second TD from 3 yards away. Holder Jeff McGowan then hit Woody Maynard for the 2-point conversion to make it 15-0. A Corey Thomas recovery of a Ridgway lateral late in the third quarter led to the game's final score. Coffey capped the 60-yard drive with his third score from a yard out. DeFilippi added the point after to make it 22-0. Jeff DeFilippi proved why he was the Big 30 Offensive Player of the Year with a great second-half performance. He finished the game with 105 yards rushing and directed the offense to near perfection in the second half. The victory was special for the elder DeFilippi as well. The win was number 100 for Coach Carl. The Hubs had earned back the AML crown they had lost in 1991 with a 22-0 win over the Ridgway Elkers.
Yes, indeed. A game played right here at St. Mary's Dutch Country Stadium last year. That is the complete recap of the 7 AML games thus far. We want to thank Joe and Scott out in the parking lot. Mike Barron with us back at Studio B. He made it pretty much without too many glitches. A couple times our scanner plug got pulled out of the wall. But, hey, we're having some fun here in St. Mary's, and it is almost showtime. About 10 minutes away from the kickoff of the 1993 AML Championship. Winner moves on to the District Championship next week. Well, kickoff, as we said, about 10 minutes away. We'll be back with more after this.
Quick Stop Market, AML Championship Game Quick Fact.
Smethport and Port Allegheny have represented the East. Ridgway, Johnsonburg, Eisenhower, and Elk County, the West.
And back here at Dutch Country Stadium, we're getting set for this AML Championship. The Hubbers, who come in at 9-0 on the season, they, of course, are 8-0 in the AML. They're going up against the Ridgway Elkers, 7-2 overall. One of their losses, a non-league loss to the St. Mary's Flying Dutch. And, of course, the Hubs, Barry, another perfect season. We talked about it a little bit earlier. just amazing to think that a team can go 5 straight seasons unbeaten.
Boy, it is. It's just truly amazing. And they're here again. And, this ought to be a real interesting ball game. I think it's crucial for somebody to score first here tonight because it could get worse. The weather could get worse. So you want to be the first one to score. And turnover is going to play a major, major factor in this game. You can't afford to have any. And that's going to be so tough because it's cold out there. And you got to have almost the old hands of stone if you've been out there for any length of time because your fingers have to go numb. Mine are. And, one bounce and boom, who knows? It's a game of bounces tonight.
And out there on the field does look like it is going to be pretty much a mud bath before things are all said and done. And that, what can you do? They had a ball game here last night, but I think the field's going to get very sloppy. It's not going to get any better before it's all said and done tonight.
No, it can't get any better. I'm amazed and happy with the condition it's in right now. Because truthfully, I expected it to be a lot worse.
Yeah, me too.
When we come down here, but it doesn't really look that awful bad. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to get that way like you just said. So that's why, once again, I think it's important to get them points on the scoreboard very quickly.
And one of the marching bands will be doing our national anthem. I'm trying to spot them. We're on.